And in business, the CEO of Dalex Finance and Leasing Company, Ken Thompson, fears a weak regulatory framework in the banking sector and inability to flush out all struggling banks could result in a repeat of banks collapsing. So far, a governor of the central bank has assured that the banking sector is very safe following the managerial takeover of Unibank, coupled with the subsequent collapse of UT and Capital Bank. Speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of an economic forum by the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, Ken Thompson makes the case for the regulator to be very strict in streamlining the sector.
I expect that we'll learn from it and the regulation will improve. And that's what we do. The regulation has to improve and governance will improve. You've got to remember that the Nigerian banks went through similar crisis some years ago. And it was cleaned up. So I'm hoping that this time we'll clean it up. And you can't develop if you don't make mistakes. It's part of the mistakes that were made. Hopefully when we come out of it, we'd have learned from it and it will become better.
You have touched on various government projects that could be facing some challenges. You made mention of the 1D, 1F. What about this that you think that could be really much of a challenge?
Okay, you see, we have a currency which is overvalued. And because it's overvalued, it makes imports cheap and exports expensive. And, I use the Big Mac Index to show the extent of overvaluation. And I'm not saying that, the Big Mac Index shows that it should be maybe 13 cities to a city. It's not a precise number. I'm saying that it's definitely 4.5, somewhere around 6. But because the currency is overvalued and imports are cheap, the factories that are set up can't survive. They will not survive because people import. And the mistake we make, and it's a very simple principle in economics, if you want to change behavior, provide incentives. There's no incentive for somebody to produce locally or to buy something produced locally because it's cheaper to bring from overseas. So have a strategy where you are devaluing your currency, maybe gradually, and using and supporting your local industry to come up, to be able to compete. Why do we think the Chinese have been so aggressive in managing their currency over the last few decades? It was supposed exports. So unless we do that, it will fail. Well, it's at risk.
Now, the Ministry for Fisheries and Aquaculture says it will be roping in artisanal fishermen in the observation of a closed season this August. The closed season for fishing is part of efforts by the ministry to allow the sea to replenish fish stock. Speaking to Joy Business, the Deputy Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Francis Kingsley Atukujo, said besides industrial trawlers, the ministry will be including artisanal fishermen for the initiative to be more effective.
The last closed season we had was this year, January and February. And like I stated, that was the minor upwelling season. But we have a scientific and technical working group that has since advised the ministry. They have been working for a long time, but they advised the ministry that the good time to do closed season is August this year. August. That's a major upwelling season. The ministry has not been very forth with implementing closed season in August because it's also coincide with the peak fishing season. But what do we want to do? Do we want people to just have a fishing season or want people to have bumper harvest? If we want people to have bumper harvest, if it means that we are going to close the season during the peak season, then we should be able to do that to give the fish more opportunity to reproduce and therefore revive the declining fish stock. I'm telling you that if we can allow this thing to continue for even 2 or 3 years, the fish stock will recover quickly because one fish can lay about 700,000 eggs or 7 million eggs in a season, in just one way. All the yellow thing they have here, when they pour out, some of them is about 7 million. So if we take one fish, potentially are taking 7 million fish out of the sea. So when we allow these people to recover during the peak season, when they become very fertile, a lot of them are getting fertile, and we can have the closed season, we can have a lot of them giving out the seed and replenishing the seed quickly. So we are looking at implementing a closed season in August. And what we also what we have been advised to do, that is to cut across all the sectors, both that is now the semi-industrial and then the industrial will all experience this closed season. And it is something that when the ministry announces, we want everybody to come on board, everybody to support us, because we need to take drastic actions, calls for drastic measures. We need to take drastic measures to recover our fisheries.
And that's it for business.